wonderful evening. Let's have a roll call.
Commissioner Becky Schaefer?
Here.
Commissioner Parrish?
Here.
Commissioner Mason?
Here.
Commissioner Lemke?
Here.
Commissioner Chorin?
Here.
Alderman Stralchek?
Here.
Mayor Abendroth?
Here. We have a quorum. First item is the approval of the minutes from February 13th.
Move to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The minutes are approved. The consent agenda, item number 2, contains 3 items. Walter Buildings for Brandon and Rachel Goldbeck. The applicant is seeking approval for an accessory structure greater than 1,000 square feet for a pole barn located at 14018 North Davis Road. The second item is Carl Darberpool. The applicant is seeking approval for an accessory structure greater than 1,000 square feet for a machine shed located at 11206 West Highland Road. Item number 3, Eric Newman for Vogel Real Estate, LLC. The applicant is seeking certified survey map approval for the parcel located immediately west of 5650 West County Line Road.
It's both.
Period.
Period. Times 2.
Look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second. Is there any discussion of any of the items?
I just had one question. Jack, on these buildings, I know in the past there's been discussion about they can't keep their motorcycles and their ATVs and their RVs and that sort of thing. So that's the case here. They can only keep farm equipment?
Correct.
Okay.
Agriculture-related activities.
And they know that?
Yes.
Okay.
And no animals.
No animals.
None of them have a limousine service, as far as we know. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is adopted. Item number 3, regular business. We have 1, Dermond Property Investment. The applicant is seeking building plan amendment approval for the revised north building elevation for the property located at, let's say, I'm going to guess here, 1130 North Funchak Avenue. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Forgot a number there. Jack?
So as many of you may recall, the applicant was in front of the commission in January for approval of specimen trees along the north elevation. The commission did approve the 13 specimen trees to be removed. However, there was a concern with the architecture on the north elevation. When it was originally approved, the north elevation didn't have quite the amount of brick that we were looking for, but it was approved since it was going to be less visible from any public view. The commission approved the specimen tree removal on a condition that the landscaping plan and the north elevation come back to the commission for review. So what we have here, this is the original elevation on the north, and it's probably hard to see on the screen, but as you can see, this is all fiber cement siding for the entire length from this way to the east. And there was also this siding that went along the bottom and it stepped down, and there was some cast stone at the bottom. We worked with the applicant, and there's been some iterations to the plan. The second iteration that we looked at was this one here. Now this one here, they added additional brick in this area, and then this, they changed the color to match the fiber cement on the other sides of the building. It's a lighter color. But there was this issue that we had with regard to siding on the bottom here, and it was kind of stepping down, and it started kind of at a odd point, we felt, that right along this location here. So today we're at this elevation here, where we have basically cast stone. In this location, there's no more siding, and the cast stone along the bottom that runs linear right below the fiber cement. There's no stepping of it as you run the entire length of the wall. So staff is supportive of this version. The only modification that we would suggest is that there is a trim line that runs along the bottom, and it basically stops at this point and picks up again on this point. And with the color difference between this being very similar, we felt it might be better to have that line, the trim line or the double trim line run across that whole length of the elevation, as well as on the east elevation. We don't have a landscape plan yet in front of you. We have been working with the property to the north with regard to some site design that they're looking at doing, and they're hopefully coming in front of the commission in short time. But at this point, we've been working with them on trying to determine just driveway locations and parking lot locations so we can determine how much green space we have between this building and where their pavement begins. And we feel that we have some opportunities there to do something where we could have maybe some larger trees right on the property line where it won't impact their drive aisles. But we haven't quite got there yet. We feel like in the next month or two, we should be able to iron that out and then come up with a better landscaping plan for this elevation. So at this point, we're recommending approval of the building changes, and then we'll at one point bring the landscaping back to the commission at a later date. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. We'll go to the applicant. Do you have anything to add?
Not really. Unfortunately, my architect had a parent-teacher conference before. We thought those consents were going to take a little longer. So I know she has her reasons why she didn't like the white line there, but, I mean, we're good either way. So if that's what you really want, we're willing to do it. But we really feel like we added a lot of, variation to this facade, and we like it.
Okay. So you can put the white line there?
If you want us to do it, we'll do it.
Okay. It's just a design issue.
Yeah.
Any comments? from the
Wait a
commission?
minute, just a design issue? Now that it's
I mean, it's-
fixed, it's just a design issue. Before it wasn't, it was a bigger issue.
The only comment I had is, I can see what Jack was saying about adding the second white line above, what is that, a stone?
Cast stone.
Cast stone, because you're right, that vertical element just kind of dies into it. But I'm wondering whether you need two lines at all, but at a minimum, I think you need to have something for that vertical line to terminate into. So I guess what your suggestion was the double line, but you wanted it carried all the way across, right?
Correct.
And I'm thinking it's the double line where they have it shown, and it doesn't need to continue all the way across. It kind of breaks up the facade, not being continuous. My 2 cents.
Mr. Parrish?
I was going to make a motion, but
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve per staff's recommendation, item 3A.
I second it.
Okay. Motion and a second to approve with the white line.
All the way across.
Yes.
As staff.
Staff's recommendations.
I guess let's just have a little more.
We don't know what that looks like, though.
I can visualize it.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to invite a little more discussion amongst the commissioners on that white line. I mean, if you prefer it, I'd like to know if you prefer it. I'm flexible on it. I have the similar opinion to Commissioner Chorin on this. I think it breaks it up nicely, and I think it divides it out. I think by going with the two different materials on the side, I'm flexible with it. But if, if staff could comment on why they felt strongly about the white line, I'd like to hear that input and maybe get some more input with the commissioners.
Well, I think what Commissioner Chorin said is kind of what we felt, that just the break between that vertical element and the cast stone just feels like, it runs across the entire length of the fiber cement, except for that little portion of it. So we feel that it should run all the way across and just have some continuity throughout the whole elevation. I recognize on the east elevation there is a window there, and I don't think that's a major issue that can terminate up against the window, and I still think would look fine. I know Commissioner Turner and I talked a little bit about maybe just having a single white trim along the bottom and the top, and I guess we would be okay with that too. I don't want to put too many options out there, but I think that would look fine as well.
I think my point was that, having that second lower line above the cast stone, but only where it's the darker siding, where the lighter siding is, I don't think you need to carry it through.
Okay. So we have two architects that don't like having the white line go all the way across. Their architect? Yeah. What do you mean?
Okay. I make a motion that
You already have a motion.
a second white, what is that material, white?
I'm not sure
Okay.
exactly.
A second white line above the cast stone, what is that termination, cast stone?
Transition between the cast stone and the fiber cement?
Right. Okay, the second white line above the cast stone, only at the dark siding and not continuous around the entire elevation of the building.
Which is pretty much what their plan is, you're saying, right?
Which is what they submitted, yeah. That's an amendment.
It was, see where your cursor is?
It
Yeah.
looks like there's a second line there.
There are two lines.
Well, there are two lines across the whole. I can zoom in a little bit for you.
Okay, all right. So that's what we were looking at, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I hadn't seen the second lower one. I think that's fine. So modify my comment to approve what is being presented.
Well, there's a motion and a second,
Right.
so you could make a friendly,
As it is.
if he accepts it as a friendly amendment.
Should I withdraw mine? I don't feel strongly about it, so.
If you'd like to, I'd be more supportive of it not being on that section as well.
I'd like to withdraw my motion.
Is that okay?
Will I withdraw my second?
Yeah.
Sure I will.
Okay. We have a new motion and a new second. Correct?
Prove it for the
Further.
visual shown.
As shown
Right,
Yes,
correct.
from Commissioner Chorin and Commissioner Strelchak.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion?
One additional item.
Yes.
With the removal of the specimen trees as the landscape plan comes back, I would like to, if possible, see some insertion of a specimen type tree or a series of specimen trees along that lot line as appropriate. I know you're going to work through that, but I'd be looking specifically for something that would be preserved going into the future since those were removed inadvertently. I'd like to see something back on that lot line.
Yeah, the difficulty is going to be just how much space we have to work with. You know, we don't want to do anything there that's going to grow and then cause issues later on. So we've been working with our city forester to come up with some appropriate species. But we really want to kind of pin down not only how much width we have to work with, but that cast stone, there's a significant drop off as this goes towards the east.
Yeah.
And it drops another 5 to 10 feet onto the neighboring property before it gets to the bus company. But if this area along here, we may be able to bury some of this yet with some bringing the grade up, and then we may be able to play with that a little bit as well. So we're trying to figure out both those things. I mean, from Buntrock to industrial, the whole site drops like 20 feet. So we're trying to figure out where that grade change should go and whether there's going to be retaining walls on the neighboring property, you know, because the individual that's working on the site for the brewery has contracts on the bus company, and so he's working on a master plan for the whole area. So we're trying to hammer out those details and see how it's going to impact this. So the timing's actually pretty good that both things are going on at the same time, but hopefully we can get there with that developer at a point where they're ready to plant. So, and I think we will be able to, so.
Yep, just want to give my late co-chair the respect she deserves.
Yep.
And I want to bring that up on her behalf. Thank you.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
You may continue with your project.
Pretty much.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.